We now want to bring in our Scripps News White House correspondent, Haley Bull. She is live at the White House for us this afternoon. She's, of course, been following the upcoming meeting this weekend between U.S. and Chinese officials. But, Haley, I want to ask you, what more can you tell us about these executive orders that were just signed by the president?
Yeah, Stephanie, this all dealt with clean energy policies from the previous Biden administration. The actions taken today seeking to rescind many of those policies as described in that signing in the Oval Office. Officials saying that these actions repeal consumer gas-powered water heater regulations, energy conservation standards for household appliances, and energy standards for commercial freezers, to name a few. This has been a particular focus for Republicans. The president surrounded by some lawmakers during this signing in particular. This goes hand in hand with Trump's larger energy agenda and promise on the campaign trail to roll back Biden-era actions, something he has done throughout the past several months in office and that he is continuing to do this evening as well, Stephanie.
So, Haley, you've been following, kind of previewing what to expect from the U.S. and Chinese officials meeting in Switzerland this weekend. What do we know about what's expected to happen this weekend and what might come out of this, really high-stakes meeting?
Yeah, high stakes is a good term for it. It is a really significant meeting between U.S. and Chinese officials in Switzerland, and the president certainly pressed on that front just moments ago. You heard him say he thinks that they will come back with what he called a fair deal. He has maintained confidence throughout this, that he thinks China wants to make a deal. But notably, he also tempered expectations in his comments, explaining that he wouldn't be disappointed if they did not come back with the deal. They being Secretary Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, noting he already thinks, in his words, they made a great deal because they are essentially not doing business with how high the tariffs are. Now, the White House has been underscoring Trump's position throughout the day after he suggested an openness to potentially lowering tariff rates to 80% after earlier in the week rejecting the notion that he would cut them in order to get China to negotiate. Earlier today on Truth Social, Trump not only threw out that 80% number, but also wrote, quote, China should open up its market to USA, would be so good for them. Closed markets don't work anymore. Of course, the U.S.'s tariff rate against China with both reciprocal tariffs as well as fentanyl-related tariffs is at 145%. China has enacted its countermeasures of 125% against the United States. Now, the White House press secretary earlier this afternoon, Stephanie, maintained that the president's position hasn't changed. He won't unilaterally bring down tariffs and is looking for concessions from China. That, of course, is an intense focus. What concessions could potentially look like and how much is actually expected to move the ball forward from this weekend. The White House press secretary framed it this way. Listen.
The president still remains with his position that he is not going to unilaterally bring down tariffs on China. We need to see concessions from them as well. And again, that's part of the reason that Secretary Bessent is going to talk to his Chinese counterparts this weekend to start those discussions in person. As for the 80% number, that was a number the president threw out there, and we'll see what happens this weekend.
And, Stephanie, this meeting will mark the highest level of talks between the two countries since what the White House dubbed Liberation Day, when the president rolled out reciprocal rates against dozens of countries, pausing them for many, of course, not for China. Those talks expected on Saturday, but we're told from a source familiar they could continue on Sunday, depending on how they are going. This is a really significant deal, given how large the trading is and the tensions that have risen between the countries, but the White House is still working to reach trade deals with other nations as well, and portraying confidence that they are close after they reached, or rather announced, the top lines, the outlines of a trade deal with the UK yesterday. National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett saying earlier today they're working on about 24 deals, indicating that they are close for countries like India. But notably inside that Oval Office, commentary there just minutes ago ago, Trump maintaining that he intends to maintain the 10% universal rate as a baseline for countries, but opening the door that there could be, quote, an exception at some point if someone does something, he said, exceptional. So certainly the back and forth on these tariffs is something that is closely watched, especially as the markets have responded throughout this, Stephanie.
Scripps News White House correspondent Haley Bull tracking all of the tariff and trade news for us. Thank you so much.